Hello, beautiful humans. This is Dave Johnson channeling today, and I'm gonna do some predictions. Just taking a look at what Spirit has to show me about the next few days. I know one thing I want to know, and that is it seems like something shifted, or it is in the process of shifting. I want to see what that means. And now let's take a look. And I always like to know who's speaking. This is a sort of the regular channeling I do. It's not trance work, and when I do it, I like to have an idea of who's telling me this stuff. Usually it's the man in the moon, but that is sort of a collective. So I'm wondering if there's anyone specifically, any spirit specifically. I see a glowing hand, right? And it just has the feeling of the light. Okay, I've asked them to show me something so that I know they are from the light. Let's ask then. So what shifted, Spirit? I see absolute just pandemonium at the White House, just total panic. All of the people from like the gardener on up are just in a total panic. Stephen Miller is frantically running around, and you have a feeling like he's afraid. Like if this, once this facade crumbles, people are going to be held to account for things that they did. And the tide's turning. It's also because people are no longer supporting the right. They are becoming disenchanted, and they're getting angry, and as the political situation shifts, some of these people are really worried that public sentiment will, really, there'll be people within the Republican Party who are gonna throw some of these people to the wolves and say, "I'm not connected to them." And I don't like looking at things through the eyes of Stephen Miller, so I'm just like, could we please move him on? It's gross. I don't want to be anything near that person. I'm just looking through the eyes of what seems to be like a more neutral person, and I just see it through her eyes. And it's a female, I can tell. They're kind of somebody who, was MAGA, but they've started to change their minds as they see things. All right, what do you got to tell me? It's just like even between people like Trump and Miller, there's now a lot of animosity. One thing about shadowy characters when they get together, they're really very, very selfish. So the minute that either party decides that it's no longer viable to have person X working for me, then they will turn on him and they won't ever blame themselves. So now you have this person to blame. So that's starting to happen. People are starting to point fingers, but they're just like, look, he's collapsing psychologically, physically. Trump is collapsing, and there's nothing to support us. There's no ground underneath us. Something has happened where, I'm seeing it through the look of the generals, through their eyes, and they're really not happy that non-white males are being put down in this way. It gives me a lot of hope here because, I just generally don't think that, American generals are, the most, awesome people. Now, I'm kind of neutral on them. I'm certain there are plenty of them that are just regular people doing their jobs. They're very, very good at their jobs. I don't think that they would be in that position if they weren't, good at their jobs. That doesn't mean they're good at ethics or morality or I agree with them. But I'm kind of impressed because a lot of them are angry that they have been misrepresented here. They, may be even conservative, but they're not anti-black, they're not anti-women, they're not anti-gay. They have, through their experience, worked with people in all of those varieties who are good people, and they're embarrassed that they're now being painted in this way, it's intriguing. It's kind of changing their minds. They're starting to wonder whether they chose the right party and reconsidering, maybe they wouldn't be Democrats, but they would be neutral. And they're not happy about the misrepresentation and the seizure of power. It seems extremely important. It's a message, and it's a message that I get that's sent to Trump as well. The fact that they're not laughing at his rally is really, really significant. That's the message that they send, which is a cold, stone-faced reply. All right, I'm just wondering if there's anything else about the United States. I see a crack down the middle of the country, right? And it divides us like one against the other. It is literally like right down the middle. But the crack seems to be shifting. It's like it was 50-50 and now it's 60-40. And it seems like it will continue sort of at a strange angle. That is, the divide had to be broken. I'm starting to see why Trump became president, is we had to see what would happen, see the real divide. What else are we what does this mean? Oh, and that crack, it seems like a desert. And I know America's going into fall right now, so I don't think it would be a drought. But I think it's symbolically like a drought. There is, no one who is willing to pick the fruit, vegetables, tend the farms. There is just a sort of very parched sort of feeling about the ground under the United States. These are the fruits of hatred, and the fruits of hatred are dry earth. If you attack the people that do the work, what do you have then? And so this is a completely manufactured crisis. It's for the benefit of the media and nobody else. Okay. Now I always like to ask, Spirit, why are we going through this? What does this mean? Look, in some ways, this is preventing a war. The fact that things are coming out, there's a sort of continuous bad numbers, bad business numbers, visuals of people having horrible things done to them. This is, in some ways, good. It's horrifying to watch, but this is what will prevent a war. If this were suppressed and we didn't know about these things, we'd continue along this 50-50 mark, and there'd be nothing we could do. But I feel good about what I'm seeing in some ways, because it does feel like we're right at the minute that the tide is turning. And it is preventing. It is causing people who are in the middle or even on the right to change their minds. They're not happy about what they're seeing either, and they're starting to see it for what it's worth. Okay, so I do feel like there's stuff about other places. I'm going to move on from the United States, but I hope y'all notice that the good portion of the media is that it's bringing these things to the surface, and it is changing people's minds. Let's take a look elsewhere, and I'm open to anything, Spirit. I do see Putin. He's got some kind of ray guns going through his fingers. It's a very odd image because I see Putin like in the air. He's got like an umbilical cord tied to him to the earth, and he's sort of spinning around and going zap, zap, zap to everything around him. It has a similar feeling of just being like, just barely tethered, right? And just zapping everything around, like just destroying for a sort of crazy sense of destruction. And it just has a feeling of him, sort of sending these little zaps all over Europe in every direction. So an interesting thing happens in that there's a wave, and the wave comes from one direction, and it almost overtakes Putin, but then it freezes, and so it's like this block of ice, but still he's got to go in the other direction, and he goes in the other direction, and there's sort of a strange wilderness. So I think that, some of the response has actually put Putin on ice. And the direction that he's facing is sort of unknown territory. It's almost like he's returning back to his people, right? It's unknown territory, and it's just not safe for Putin. What are you doing over there? He doesn't know who to trust on his own side. So it's a little bit like he's got nothing else. He can harass and threaten, but once that is frozen, once he's no longer able to do that, then he has to rely on policies and programs that are supposed to help Russians, and they are not happening. He doesn't know where to step. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know how to improve the lives of these people. I'm also kind of wondering, what about that frozen ice thing? What is that? It has drawn the European powers together even more so, because historically they'd be like, oh, well, America will take care of it. Now they are uniting in an urgent situation where people can remember what it was like before the wall came down. Okay, tell me more. So Spirit, is Putin going to do something really bad? I say it's very possible. It's very possible that Putin will become desperate and, perhaps soon before he passes, do something really bad and unthinkable. It's possible. It doesn't seem like it's a certainty. I'd say it's less certain today than it was yesterday. That's just the feeling that I get. It's like the button is there. Is he going to press it? And he keeps thinking about it. So keep in mind, in a sense, going deliberately and slowly and not too aggressively may be the wisest policy here. Eventually Putin will no longer exist. So ideally what we will do is freeze him out. And I think there's some success brewing. Certainly Putin hasn't had that much success. People do not back him. That is, foreign countries do not back him. And individuals who did, are, again, changing their minds. He didn't go for peace the way that some people claimed that he and Trump would. All right, I'm just going to get a final message here, which is, sort of the light, and it's just showing me that we have power here. Call in your power whenever you get in this feeling of stress, even before you go to, work every day. Don't hesitate. Call in your power. And this just looks like drawing upon the light and carrying it with you. This is what we can do right now. And it does matter. It matters when you go to work and, you help a coworker out, or smile at someone. That's the light. And while it might seem like a small thing, nothing in comparison to the big thing, it's a big thing for that person who you help, and it's a big thing for you. This is a message from Spirit to stay in the light. Thanks so much for watching.